Hi guys, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to set up Jenkins slave node so that the Jenkins server is actually able to communicate with the node. Alright, so first, what is node? So node is actually representing a machine. It can be Windows machine, Linux machine or Mac machine that Jenkins server is actually able to connect to. So Jenkins server is actually the master, okay, and the other machine that Jenkins server is trying to run on will be the slave machine. Alright, so over here I have drawn out how the master is actually communicate with the node. So the Jenkins server, which is running on my Docker container, is actually acting as a master, and then after that I'm going to create a node which is acting as a slave. So in this case, I'm going to use my Ubuntu Linux virtual machine to act as a slave node. Later on, I will create a node for the Linux machine, and also you can actually have a Windows virtual machine acting as a slave node, and also you can have Mac machine acting as a slave node as well, and you can have multiple nodes if you want to create. Alright, right now I'm going to show you how to create a node in Jenkins. So the first thing to do is to go to manage Jenkins, and you go down. You can go to the manage nodes and cloud. So over here, this is the place where you are going to create a node. So I'm going to create a new node, and I'm going to give it the node name as Ubuntu Linux. Alright, and I'm going to select it as a permanent agent. This is the name. So the next thing I want to fill in is the number of executors. So the number of executors is representing the number of jobs that Jenkins server is able to run on my Ubuntu Linux machine. Alright, so for example, let's say in Jenkins I have created a pipeline. So this pipeline, if I click on build now right now, is actually representing one job. Okay, so if I click on build now and it's actually running on that my Linux machine, is actually representing one executor. So if I run it again, and then there will be two jobs running on my Ubuntu Linux machine. So the number of executors that I have to set is 2. So it's actually representing the number of jobs that you can actually run simultaneously on that particular node. Okay, so I'm going to set it as 1 for now. Alright, so this remote root directory is the default directory that the Jenkins server is going to run on the slave node. Okay, so I'm going to use the folder I've created here. So I have created a Jenkins folder. This one, I'm going to set it as a root directory. So whatever output from the Jenkins server, the folder that it wants to create on the slave node will be going to the remote root directory unless you specify it otherwise in the script itself. Alright, so the next one is the label. So this label is actually representing the node. Okay, this is how the Jenkins server is going to recognize which node is which node. Alright, so I'm going to give it, instead of using name, right, Jenkins server is actually using the label to recognize the slave node. So I'm going to put it as a Ubuntu Linux. And the next one is the usage. I'm going to leave it as default. And the next one is the launch method. So this launch method is actually how the Jenkins server is going to communicate with my Ubuntu Linux machine. So I'm going to let them communicate via the SSH method. So I'm going to show you how actually Jenkins server is going to communicate with my Ubuntu virtual machine. So first, I'm going to log in into my Docker container, which the Jenkins server is running on. So in order to log in the Docker container, I'm going to run this command. First, I need to get the IP address of my Ubuntu Linux machine. I'm going to type ifconfig. So this is the IP address over here. Alright, so right now I'm going to log in into my Docker container. So I need to know the name of my Docker container. So first, I do a docker ps. So this is the name of my Docker container. I'm going to type this command, log into the Docker container /bin/bash. Okay, so right now I'm inside my Docker container and I want to SSH into my Ubuntu Linux machine. So I'm going to type SSH, the username of the Ubuntu machine, and then the IP address. So I need to give the password in order to log in into my Ubuntu Linux machine. So right now, you can see that I'm actually able to log in into my Ubuntu Linux machine from my Docker container itself using the SSH method. Okay, so I'm just going to log out. And so this is also same when it comes to Jenkins server. So imagine that Jenkins server is running into the Docker container and it's going to SSH into the Ubuntu machine by providing the host name and also the credential. So the host name is actually the IP address of the Ubuntu machine. I'm going to copy this one and then I'm going to choose the credential. Alright, so actually I've created the credential, but I'm going to show you how to create it. Click on Add, go to Jenkins. So you can provide the username and the password of your remote machine. So in my case, the name of my remote Ubuntu Linux machine is Steven, and the password you can type it accordingly. Alright, so I have created it. I'm not going to create again. So over here you can choose the credential that you have created, and the next one would be the manually trusted key verification strategy. You have to choose this one for now. And the next one is the advanced setting. So for the advanced setting, you don't have to set anything for now first. And the next one will be the availability. This one is to keep this agent as much as possible. Alright, so I'm going to click save. And you can see I have successfully created a node, a slave node. Alright, so I'm going to click on it. Right now I'm going to click on it. So after I click it, you will see you have successfully SSH into the host machine from the Jenkins server perspective. And right now it has some issue. It's saying that the user does not have sufficient permission to perform the operation. So what actually happened is that Jenkins server is trying to copy the jar file from the Docker container to my Ubuntu Linux machine. Okay, it's actually trying to copy the file in this directory. Okay, but the problem is that if you do ll right now, you can see that this Jenkins folder is actually restricting permission to the other user. The last three that I'm highlighting here is actually representing the permission for the other user. Okay, so you can see that for the other user, it doesn't have the right permission. For the other user, it cannot actually copy the file into this directory because it doesn't have the right permission. So in order to solve this issue, you can see that this folder is actually created by root. So I'm going to change permission as root user. So going to type chmod 777 is to give everyone read, write, and execute permission. Okay, so I'm going to change it, and you will see right now there's a right permission for the other user as well. Okay, so if I go back to the Jenkins over here, I'm going to launch it again. So it successfully logged into the Ubuntu machine, and you see it's no longer giving the error, and it's able to copy the jar file into the Jenkins directory. So right now you will see if I go to I'm going to list the content of Jenkins directory, it's able to copy the remoting jar file from the Docker container to my Ubuntu machine. Alright, after I have changed the permission. So let's go back. And Jenkins right now is actually successfully communicate with my Linux virtual machine. Okay, so I'm going to create a new pipeline for demonstrating purpose. Click on new item, and I'm going to say my first project. So I'm going to click on pipeline. Let us click OK. So this is the pipeline script where you can write the Groovy script that can be run, and then it can do some operation on the node that you are specifying. Alright, so I'm just going to copy the script that I have written before. So this is the script that I have used before. I'm going to write over here, and you will see the first line is the build node. So this is the node that I'm specifying which node the Jenkins server is going to run on. So the build node is the node that I've created just now. I'm giving the label. Okay, so the label that just now that I have written is Ubuntu Linux. So I'm giving the Ubuntu Linux. Okay, the next one is the node. So the argument that the node takes is the label of the node that is going to run on. So it's actually representing Ubuntu Linux. Alright, so I'm going to zoom in a little more. And if you type something like this, it's actually running this shell command on the Ubuntu Linux node. Alright, so this one is actually creating a test directory. So I'm going to change to my first project. So it's going to create my first project folder in my Ubuntu Linux machine. Alright, so I'm going to save it right now, and let us click build now. So you will see, if you go to console output, says that it has finished and success. It's actually saying running on the Ubuntu Linux node, and then in this particular directory. Alright, so let us go back to my Ubuntu Linux machine. Let us see inside the Jenkins folder, and then a workspace. After that, you can see that my first project is being created in my Linux machine right now, and I'm going to change to this folder. After that, you will see there's another my first project folder is being created under this directory. Alright, so what actually happened is that in the node, you have specified this is the remote root directory that is going to use when the Jenkins server is communicating with this slave node. Okay, so this is a /home until Jenkins, and this is the one. Okay, after that, when you run the build, what happens is that Jenkins will actually create the folder workspace, and also it will append the name of the pipeline after the workspace. Okay, so it will first go into this workspace, and then you create a workspace folder. After that, it's going to create another folder under this workspace, and this folder is actually comes from the name of the pipeline itself. Alright, after that, what happens is that it's going to run this make directory command under this particular folder. Alright, so under this particular folder, it's running the shell command, and you can see that my first project folder is being created. Okay, so I think this is it for this tutorial. I have shown you how to actually create a node, how the slave node and the Jenkins server is actually communicating with each other, how you actually able to run some script from the Jenkins server on the particular node. Okay, and actually I'm going to show you one more thing. You can actually click on replay. If you want the script to run it again, you can modify the script here. Let's say I'm going to say my second project. If I run it again, it's going to create my second project folder in my Ubuntu Linux machine. Alright, so let us go into it and see. It says that it has created my second project. Let us go back to ls. You can see my second project right now is being created. Alright, so I think this is it. Thank you so much for watching.